Let's start by diving into a topic that's crucial for anyone on a journey of personal transformation and self-realization. Never share these 5 things with anyone. We'll explore why certain aspects of your inner work and personal evolution are best kept private, and how doing so can enhance your growth and manifestation. So let's get into it. First, let's set the stage. When you're engaged in a process of transformation, whether it's shifting your mindset, evolving your emotional state, or creating new realities, you're fundamentally altering your electromagnetic field. You're becoming someone new. This means you're broadcasting a new signature into the universe, and this process can be delicate and transformative. Now imagine you're sculpting a masterpiece. Every detail matters. Every stroke is intentional. Your personal evolution is similar. It's a masterpiece in progress. There are certain things you might be tempted to share, but I'm going to explain why keeping these aspects to yourself can be the key to your success. The first thing you should never share is your specific goals and intentions. When you set a goal or intention, you're essentially sending out a signal to the universe. This signal is like a message or a request for what you want to achieve or manifest in your life. It creates an electromagnetic signature that shapes the reality you're aiming for. Let's delve into why it's important to keep your goals private and how sharing them can sometimes weaken their power. When you set a goal, you're creating a mental and emotional focus that directs your energy toward achieving it. This focus is powerful and forms part of your personal electromagnetic field. Your goal becomes a part of the energy you are emitting, and this energy interacts with the universe to bring about the changes you desire. It's like tuning into a specific radio station. Your goal acts as the frequency you're broadcasting. However, sharing your specific goals and intentions with others can dilute their power. Why does this happen? When you talk about your goals, you're not just communicating with the universe, you're also engaging with other people's energies and opinions. Their reactions can influence how you feel about your goals. For example, if someone responds positively, it might make you feel good, but could also create expectations and pressure. On the other hand, if someone responds negatively or with skepticism, it can introduce doubts and weaken your focus. Imagine you're working on a sculpture. When you first start, you have a clear vision of what you want to create. But if you invite others into your workshop and let them start making changes, their ideas and opinions might alter your original design. This can confuse you and disrupt your creative process. The same principle applies to your goals. When you share them, other people's opinions and energies can influence or even dilute the clarity and power of your original intention. The second thing you should keep to yourself is your progress and breakthroughs. When you experience a breakthrough or a moment of clarity, it's like tuning into a new frequency or vibration. This new frequency changes the way you interact with the world, making it possible for you to attract new experiences and opportunities. Let's explore why it's important to keep these moments private and how doing so helps protect your personal growth. First, understand that when you have a breakthrough, you're reaching a new level of understanding or achievement. This could be a new insight about yourself, a significant accomplishment, or a major shift in your perspective. These breakthroughs can be very powerful and transformative. They change your energy and how you connect with the world. You could start attracting different kinds of people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your new state of being. It's like you're broadcasting a new signal that others can pick up. However, sharing these breakthroughs with everyone can sometimes lead to skepticism or doubt. Not everyone will understand or support the changes you're going through. When you talk about your new insights or accomplishments, some people might question them or react negatively. They might not see things from your new perspective and could even try to bring you back to your old way of thinking. This kind of reaction can create resistance and might make it harder for you to stay aligned with your new frequency. For example, if you've recently made a big personal breakthrough and you excitedly share it with friends or family, Some of them might not respond positively. They could be skeptical, dismissive, or even critical. This external doubt can create internal conflict and make it difficult for you to maintain the positive changes you've worked hard to achieve. It's like trying to tune a radio to a new station, but interference from others is making it hard to get a clear signal. By keeping your progress and breakthroughs private, you protect the integrity of your personal transformation. Your journey and changes are deeply personal and unique to you. Keeping these moments to yourself allows you to fully experience and integrate them without external influence. It helps you maintain the purity of your new frequency so you can continue to attract the positive experiences and opportunities that come with it. Moreover, when you keep your breakthroughs private, you give yourself the space to fully understand and adapt to your new state. This time alone helps you solidify your changes and make them a permanent part of your life. It's like allowing yourself to adjust to a new way of living before introducing it to the world. This way, you're less likely to be swayed by others' opinions or judgments, and you can stay focused on your own growth. The third thing you should avoid is sharing your struggles and challenges too openly. It's crucial to acknowledge and work through your difficulties, but talking about them too much can sometimes create more problems. Let's explore why it's important to keep your struggles more private and how you can manage them better. Firstly, we all face struggles and challenges in life. Whether it's dealing with personal issues, facing setbacks at work, or handling relationship problems, these struggles are a natural part of life. It's important to recognize them and work through them. However, when you share your struggles too openly with everyone, it can lead to more emotional baggage. Emotional baggage means carrying extra stress and feelings from these difficulties, which can weigh you down even more. When you talk about your struggles frequently, you're giving them more energy and attention. This means you're focusing a lot on the problems and making them a bigger part of your life. For example, if you constantly discuss how difficult your job is, you might find yourself thinking about it more and feeling more stressed. The more you focus on your problems, the more real and significant they can seem. This can make it harder for you to move past them and find solutions. Instead of amplifying your struggles by talking about them a lot, try to focus on finding solutions. Look for ways to address and resolve the challenges you're facing. This approach helps you direct your energy towards overcoming the problems rather than letting them take over your thoughts and emotions. For example, if you're struggling with a difficult project at work, instead of talking endlessly about how hard it is, focus on breaking the project into smaller tasks and finding ways to manage each part. This shift in focus helps you stay proactive and positive. Working through your challenges privately can also be beneficial. When you keep your struggles to yourself, you give yourself space to think clearly and work on solutions without external influences. Sharing too much can sometimes lead to unwanted advice or opinions from others. While their intentions might be good, their advice can sometimes add more confusion or stress to your situation. By handling your struggles privately, you can trust your own judgment and decisions more. Using your struggles as opportunities for growth is another important strategy. Every challenge you face has the potential to teach you something valuable. Instead of seeing them as just problems, view them as chances to learn and improve yourself. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult personal situation, consider how this experience might help you grow stronger or develop new skills. This mindset shift turns your challenges into stepping stones for personal development. The fourth thing to keep to yourself is your daily rituals and practices. These are the special routines you follow each day that help you grow and transform. They might include things like your meditation routines, visualization techniques, or any personal rituals you've developed over time. Let's talk about why it's important to keep these practices private. Firstly, your daily rituals and practices are very personal. They are designed to fit your individual needs and goals. For example, if you meditate every morning, this practice helps you start your day with a calm and clear mind. If you use visualization techniques to imagine your goals, this helps you stay focused and motivated. These rituals are part of your personal journey and contribute to your growth and transformation. They are like secret tools that you use to improve yourself and move closer to your goals. When you share the details of these practices with others, it can lead to some problems. People might judge or question your rituals. For instance, if someone doesn't understand why you meditate or what benefits it brings you, they might criticize it or suggest you try something different. This can make you doubt the effectiveness of your own practices. It can also cause you to question whether you should continue with them. Judgment and questioning can affect your consistency. Consistency means doing something regularly and reliably. If you're sharing your rituals with others and receiving negative feedback or criticism, you might start to feel unsure about continuing them. This uncertainty can make it harder to stick to your routines and practices. You might begin to skip your meditation or visualization sessions, which can disrupt your progress and growth. Your daily rituals are meant to be a private sanctuary. A sanctuary is a safe, peaceful place where you can focus on yourself without distractions. When you keep your rituals private, you protect this sanctuary from external influences. This allows you to maintain the purity and effectiveness of your practices. If you let others into this private space, their opinions and judgments can interfere with your journey. By keeping these practices to yourself, you ensure that they remain a personal and powerful part of your transformation. Another reason to keep your rituals private is to avoid external interference. When you share your practices with others, you open yourself up to their opinions, advice, or even their doubts. This external interference can disrupt your focus and make it harder for you to stay committed to your rituals. By keeping your practices to yourself, you create a boundary that helps you stay centered and dedicated to your own growth. Think of your daily rituals as a personal recipe for success. Just like a chef keeps their secret ingredients private to create a special dish, you keep your rituals private to ensure they work effectively for you. If you share your recipe with everyone, people might suggest changes or offer alternative ingredients. This can dilute the effectiveness of your recipe. Similarly, when you share your rituals, external influences can affect how well they work for you. Finally, let's explore the fifth thing you should never share: your emotional state and the details of your inner experiences. It's important to keep these personal and not share them with everyone you meet. Here's why. Your emotional state is a mirror reflecting your inner life. It shows you what's going on inside you, including how you're growing and changing. For example, if you're feeling really happy, it might be because you've made some positive changes in your life. If you're feeling anxious or upset, it could be because you're dealing with something challenging. These emotions give you clues about your personal journey and how you're developing. When you share your emotions and the details of your inner experiences with others, it can lead to some issues. You might think it's helpful to talk about your feelings or to get advice from people around you. However, sharing too much can sometimes bring about unwanted advice or judgments. Unsolicited advice is when people give you their opinions or suggestions without you asking for them. Judgment is when people make negative assessments or criticisms based on what you've shared. When people give you advice or judge you based on your emotions, it can upset your internal harmony. Internal harmony means feeling balanced and at peace with yourself. If someone gives you advice that doesn't match your own feelings or understanding, it can cause confusion. You might start to doubt your own feelings or feel unsettled. This confusion can pull you away from your own inner guidance, making it harder to find clarity and peace. Also, when others judge you based on what you share, it can create additional stress. Their judgments can make you feel self-conscious or insecure about your feelings. This can disrupt your sense of balance and make it harder for you to stay true to yourself. It's much better to process your emotions on your own. This means taking time to understand and deal with your feelings privately. For instance, if you're feeling nervous about an upcoming event, try to sit with those feelings by yourself first. Ask yourself why you're feeling this way and what you need to feel better. This self-reflection helps you use your emotions as a guide for personal growth. It's like having a personal roadmap for your journey of self-discovery. When you keep your emotional state private, you protect the integrity of your inner work. Integrity means staying true to your own process and not letting outside influences interfere. Just like a gardener who carefully tends to a plant, you need to protect your inner work from being affected by external opinions or judgments. This way, you can focus on your own growth without being swayed by others. Think of your inner work as a delicate process that needs to be nurtured in a safe environment. If you share too much with everyone, it's like exposing your work to harsh elements that could disrupt its progress. By keeping your emotions private, you create a safe space for your inner work to develop and grow without external disruptions emotionally to reaffirm their identity. Now, this is the work because you look around to see if anybody's doing it and you don't see anybody else doing it. It's kind of this lonely moment where you're realizing that I'm the only one doing this. That's that kind of moment that you realize that nobody understands you but you, right? And you can't even ask your friends for their opinion because they're going to give you their opinion based on their own experiences. And it's that kind of moment where you have to draw in all your resources. So, have you ever heard me say that emotions are bad? Have you? No, emotions are the end product of an experience. So then, do I react in my life? Yep, I do. But the question is, how long are you gonna react? That's the real question. Because if you keep that emotional reaction going on for an extended period of time, sooner or later it'll become your identity. And then people say, why are you so bitter? Why are you so frustrated? Why are you suffering so much? And your brain, in that emotion, you're in the emotion, which means you're in the chemical residue of the past, is going to call up the event because you're emotionally connected to it. And you're going to say, I'm this way because of that past experience. So then imagine what I do with people. We have people that have been abused. We have people that have been traumatized, that have been assaulted. We have people that have had very, very difficult pasts. And have you ever heard me say to revisit the event? Have you ever heard me say that? Never. We need to revisit the event because once you do, you open the box. But what we want to do is overcome the emotion because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body's going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still? So if I make the person, if I inspire the person to sit there and they're sitting there and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot and they're irritated and their stomach is twisting and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. And it starts to try anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind and your will is getting greater than the program. And all of a sudden, you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. all of a sudden the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. That's why you're saying it. So the subconscious is 95%. So more than likely, your body is going to do exactly what it's programmed to do. So what's the relevance of that? Well, people say, I want wealth, but they're programmed into being unworthy and lacking. So then as they begin to do the meditative work and they start opening their heart, I was just talking to someone yesterday. When you open the center, things are going to sift to the top. All the programs are going to come right up. And when they come up like that, you're going to see why it isn't manifesting in your life. Now, don't see it as like, why is this happening? Did I do something wrong? The subconscious is actually venting. There's a certain period of time in the early mornings where we vent our anxieties, we vent our fears. It's the way the subconscious goes, let's just have this dream and let's just get it over with. So the subconscious is saying, what if you hit the tree? What if you're actually going to hit the tree? You're going to hit the tree because that's exactly the imagery you have when you're trying to create something. You're saying, I really want this because I'm really afraid of dying. I'm really afraid of failure. I'm really afraid of rejection. So the person is subconsciously and unconsciously creating the imagery that's actually being revealed to them. So how do we change that? Well, really simple. We've got to start rehearsing a new way. We've got to start getting into those deep brainwave states, getting beyond the analytical mind, slowing our brainwaves down, getting into the operating system and start reprogramming. So when this happens, these are the things I'm going to do. These are the things I'm going to do to create that and start rehearsing those steps, priming and reprogramming the brain into a new outcome. So I have had that many, many years in my life, but I always have seen it as a strong sign, a strong symbol that I've got something switched in my brain. I could say that people say I want to be healthy. Yeah, it's 5% of your conscious mind, but you set them at the dinner table and they're breaking all the rules of everything they said. So why does that happen? Because the program is running and they've lost their free will to a program. So now that's important because your subconscious is talking to you. Now you've got to get in there. You've got to get in there and start rehearsing that you're going to step away from the table, that you're not going to eat after a certain hour, that you're going to make better choices and rehearse them and remember what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Now you begin to, on a fundamental level, begin to rewrite the script, begin to rewrite the program. And over time, if you make one or two new choices and restrain some old choices, you'll tend to make more better choices after you make a few because you'll start feeling the satisfaction of your efforts. I was altered in some way because I lost everything, and I haven't been able to change for the last 2 years. The fact that we can think about how we think, the fact that we can observe how we're acting, the fact that we can pay attention to how we're feeling means we can modify ourselves to do a better job in life. That's called metacognition. So when a person begins to wake up to who they're being, and then they say, like Gandalf on the bridge in Lord of the Rings, you may not pass today, that kind of decision becomes an experience for the person that they never forget. That kind of willingness to change is when they transmute those survival emotions into elevated emotions. And those emotions, because they're addictive and emotions are the record of the past, then for the most part, the body, as the unconscious mind, does not know the difference between an experience in your life that creates an emotion and an emotion that you can fabricate by thought alone. To the body, it's the same. So a person who's living in anger every day or sadness in every day, their body, as their unconscious mind, is believing it's in the same past conditions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The body's in the past. So when a person takes that emotion and literally denatures it and turns it into another emotion, the freedom from that addiction, breaking the chains from that emotional addiction is called self-love, is called joy. Now there's a liberation of energy. The person is in love with themselves, they're in love with their life, and they say, that was so worth it. And all of a sudden they look back at their past and they say, I would never change anything in my past because it brought me to this present moment. And when you can look back at your past that way, then the past rolls up to the present moment, and now you're beginning to experience true freedom. That certain people will not see possibility until they reach crisis, till they reach their lowest level, and then they're going to wake up and say, I better change. I think the greatest demonstration of change really is to begin to show others how to do it, to be the living example of it. That when you and I are the living example of joy, that when we are not attached to what people think or emotions that keep us feeling sick, and we are celebrating life and we are passionate about our future, that we are filled with ideas and inspiration, that's a very contagious state of being. And people that are lost in habits or lost in those emotional states, they will see it initially as an affront. It will be a confronting moment for them. But inside them, they secretly want to be free. They just don't know how to do it. So we always say in our workshops, you always know when someone is in the midst of change because they stop talking about it. They don't talk about it, they're too busy being it. So if you and I are waking up every morning and demonstrating change in our life, the people in our life have one of two choices. They either begin to become inspired by change for themselves, not because you're preaching to them philosophically, but because you're demonstrating it in your life. They'll either rise up to that, or the person cannot maintain a relationship with the person who's living in such freedom, which means they'll probably stay the same for the rest of their life. But if crisis happens, they may make another choice. So my recommendation for people who are steeped in habits and emotional states and patterns of thought, the individuals around them have to live in a state of joy. They have to live in a state of freedom. They have to demonstrate it in every single area of their life. And normally there's a thing in physics called entrainment, which means sooner or later, others start to vibrate at the same rate as you. If you look at this and you study it in history, it's a sign that something new has to be born. As the old model of reality begins to change, something else has to replace it. So we have two ways that we actually face crisis. We can either face crisis in a state of emergency, which in the beginning of a crisis is healthy, or we can face crisis in a state of creativity and innovation. If you're addressing a financial crisis or a crisis in a culture and everybody is selfish and everybody's living by those emotions, then they're pushing their way to get to the head of the line. They're competing. They're forcing outcomes. They're using very primitive systems to try to take care of themselves. We know from the physiology of the brain that most of the blood supply goes to the hindbrain and away from the forebrain. Those chemicals create a gap between the way things appear in our life and the way things really are. In other words, we're viewing reality in an altered state. We don't see possibility. We feel separate from each other. We are competing and striving to get to the head of the line by using our cunning, manipulative, egocentric ways to get there. And we're very controllable. Fear is very controllable. Competition is very controllable. Anger and war divides individuals. Now that is not a way to address a crisis, because the service to self, or taking care of the self, is the exact thing that enhances the crisis. Because if you and I are all doing the same, if we're all doing the same thing, then a culture becomes more divided. It becomes more disintegrated. It becomes more incoherent. And possibility then is not part of the equation. So the other state of mind, if you can view crisis as a great opportunity, brilliantly disguised as an impossible situation, and you have to match the conditions in your environment with a new mind. Now we're talking about greatness. Because innovation and creativity and a new way of thinking and a new way of being means that we can't do the same thing from the past. And so in history, cultures that are individuals that overcame their environmental conditions were considered mystics and saints and leaders and charismatic leaders. They were individuals that saw past the illusion of the present reality. When we begin to become innovative or creative, the brain begins to switch. We begin to turn on the forebrain, the frontal lobe, which is really the crowning achievement of the human being, and we begin to ask bigger questions. How can we create a new way of being in a world that's falling apart? How can we begin to create a new system to adapt to these conditions? And I think that people, when they begin to feel empowered by possibility, when they begin to see that the death of the old paradigms means the beginning of a new paradigm. How many people actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? So how many people actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? You know, the biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day, and would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are, then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way, then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look, then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug. Then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before. You see the same people that push the same emotional buttons. You do the exact thing that you know how to do, and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at. Then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your emails, so you can hurry up and go to bed, so you can hurry up and do it all over again. Now here's my question. Did your brain change at all that day? We could say that you were thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions that create the same experiences, that produce the same emotions, but secretly expecting something to change in your life.